Yep, you read the title, you saw the thumbnail, you know what this video is about. If you're asking yourself why you should listen to a straight white guy mansplain feminism to you, odds are you're already sold on the idea.
Yup, you're already sold on the idea of being a racist piece of shit. And that's what feminism have evolved to, being racist and bigoted and guilt-riding whitey.
It's for my fellow straight white guys who are on the fence. Maybe they say things like, I'm not a feminist, I'm an egalitarian.
Or things like, yes, you can have sex with my wife, and honey, lube the strap on before you use it. But putting facts aside here, finally there's something for the straight white male, because we know college scholarships and affirmative action isn't.
Disgusting!
Or they go to commentary channels on YouTube to laugh at ridiculous SJWs.
I'm gonna do worse than give you a 1 star. You're gonna be on Gawker.
The irony is both of those videos had nothing to do with straight white men. In fact, the first video was between a young lady who is of South Asian descent, who is pretty dark-skinned, and a light-skinned man who is of Middle Eastern descent. And also the video, the Gawker video, was a person who was Asian and who I believe is a female, so she can't be a straight white male unless she, you know, does a gender switch.
This video is going to be a little different from my previous moderates guides. While I will be referencing some laws and studies, there are no scientific papers I can hold up that flat out say toxic masculinity exists, or conclude by saying this definitively proves that white privilege is a thing.
So you're like the Bizarro World, Ben Shaziro, Ben Bom Shazira, Ben Israel Shiloh? Yeah, there we go. And instead of destroying us with facts and logic, you destroy us with opinions and assumptions? Okay.
No study just says that in black and white, which is what I assume you've come to expect. But no study ever comes to a definitive conclusion. I wouldn't trust them if they did.
All studies are supposed to come to a definitive conclusion. If it doesn't, why even release or even do the study anyway? New studies have found that you're more likely to die in your car than your plane, but the conclusion is still up in the air.
Let's start with white privilege. Like many of you, I immediately get defensive whenever someone says I'm privileged. I certainly don't feel privileged. I don't get a break on my taxes, a check from the government, or a discount at Walmart simply because I'm white. Economics is the first thing people think of whenever they hear the word privilege. And in that respect, I've certainly never been privileged. In fact, I've had a pretty hard life. I know what it's like to hope that my paycheck enters my bank account before my landlord cashes the rent check I already gave them. Assuming YouTube doesn't demonetize me, this will be the first year I ever get to say I'm middle class. Anyone who knows me knows that I've had some pretty dark times in my life. Some darker than others. Some I brought on myself, and others were just bad luck. Like many of you, I was unemployed during the recession. So I've certainly never felt like I've ever had any tangible privilege or advantage in life, but that's because I was thinking about privilege in the wrong way. I've always felt like what I have is the standard.
Yup, this guy's life is the standard for all minorities. He's the golden standard of your and my life. I mean, come on, you darkies have to compare your life to his, because he's the golden standard, it seems.
Those people are privileged. What I get is just the same basic package that everyone gets. But everyone doesn't get it. Were I anything but a straight white man, those dark times I experienced would have been significantly darker. Were they easy? No, not even close. But they were comparatively easier than a woman or a black person in the exact same situation.
Privilege in the wrong way. Nice. No one gets the same fucking package. No one is equal. You fucking idiot, man. So because your life wasn't as bad as someone else had it, that's privilege? Get raped once. That's more privilege than getting raped twice.
Because of my straight male whiteness and my white-sounding name, I only had to apply to 67 jobs rather than hundreds. Yes, there are studies that show that job applicant discrimination still exists against queer people, women, and black people. Sometimes all it takes to have your resume tossed in the trash is having an ethnic-sounding name.
Buddy, how white sounding is your name? Because you can put Cletus or Billy Bob on the application and you can apply to infinity amount of jobs and you're not getting a call back. And was one of these female names Lee, Ho, or Chin? Because I'm telling you, they can apply to one job and get a call back immediately. But, you know, he excludes the Asians since their demographic make more than white people. But whatever.
If I were in an emergency situation like a burning building and I've never been there before so I don't know the layout, and a woman stands up and says we should all go out that door, but then a man stands up and says no, we should all go out that door, knowing nothing else about the situation or who these people are, I'm probably gonna listen to the man.
Fuck probably. I'm going to listen to the man. You know why? Because if debris falls on me or falls on the person that's taking me, a man has more strength to pick up the debris from me or from his person, while a woman, not so much. Now, there's not circumstances, not all circumstances I would listen to the man. Like if the man is covered in debris and soot and the woman is not, I'm probably going to follow the woman. Or if the man is in a wheelchair and the woman is able-bodied, I'm probably going to listen to the woman. Or if the woman is in like a police uniform, listen to the woman. But in all other circumstances, listen to the fucking man, because he's probably gonna help you out if debris falls on you. And besides, there's a societal pressure for a man to be heroic and fucking risk his life, while there's none for women. So sorry, listen to the guy.
And studies show that statistically, so would you. Does that make me a sexist? Maybe. But the fact that I recognize this male privilege and recognize that it's a problem is a step in the right direction. And it makes me wonder, how many times have I been that guy? How many times have people just accepted my authority or even my opinions simply because I'm a man and not because I was correct?
Yes, male privilege. It only comes out when you have to risk your life and actually do something to help the world. Why female privilege is an everyday thing that you don't have to earn. Yes, you can get affirmative action scholarships and also college scholarships with your free welfare. Get it now. But yeah, I like how he admits that people will just automatically agree with him without him being correct. This is why he made this video, because his mindless idiot fan base will just agree with him. Nice.
Correct. People rarely ask me for my credentials. It does happen, but it's rare. I never get told that I must be lying about my degrees or my profession because I'm black. Yes, these are real comments from a friend of mine's channel.
Well, to be fair, you don't have colleges lowering their standards just to have you admitted so they can fill out a diversity quota or get some of that good old affirmative action money, college scholarships, etc., etc. But to be fair, if somebody called you out on not having the right credentials, they wouldn't call you out because you're black, because, you know, you're not black, nor are you a albino, bisexual, trans, wheelchair person. I mean, you're just a typical white guy. So it doesn't really make sense. And why are you so horrible at graphics? I can barely see those comments. Like, I can't even criticize them.
The only thing I do get questioned on is my military service. Yes, I still get these comments almost a year later. Whenever I show this picture, I always get accused of being a pogue. I'm used to it. The military is a constant dick measuring contest. Yes, my uniform is clean. It's almost like I knew that, and that's why I asked to have my picture taken. Yes, I'm wearing a face mask. It was actually freezing that day. I still have that mask. Here I am wearing it in my second video ever. But here, a video of me in Iraq, no face mask, no clean uniform while wearing my armor with all the bells and whistles. See, this was easy. I know I was there and I have pictures and videos to prove it. Most of you probably accepted that I was there without having to be shown any of that, or asking for my DD-214 or my degrees or my transcript. Not because I'm trustworthy, but because I'm a man.
Well, I didn't trust you at all. I barely even knew you were in the military. But the reason why some people trust you and that you were in the military is because women, especially on the front line, cannot handle the military standard of being physically fit. Their bodies are incapable of it most of the time. And you know what? That's just biology, bud. Have to deal with it. Do you know how many women fail the physical fitness test it takes to be a Marine or a SEAL? Plenty.
I've been playing Division 2 a lot recently, and it took me a while to realize that the female characters are wearing just as much gear and armor as the male characters.
And it's going to take you even longer to realize that this is a work of fiction. Gosh, I thought that this guy was going to pick some arbitrary cherry-pick story of how he worked with females on field. But no, he has to use a work of fiction as a representation of gender equality. Wow, that speaks to a lot of levels.
Even the word feminism has the same problem. When you hear the term, you probably think it means women want power over men. And while there are probably some people who want that, they are not representative of all feminists. What most women want is equality, what many of you would call egalitarianism, and what many of you think we already have. While they do have the vote, and they do technically have legal equality, for now, you're just gonna have to take my word for it that when it comes to societal power, women have less than men. We're just not there yet. So feminism is the balancing force, the upward motion pushing towards equality.
No, the balancing force would be half of all men identifying as women. That way, it might even tip the scale or even the favor. That is, if the men does not change anything about their biology, chemistry, or physical abilities that came from their gender. That's it. I mean, that's all you have to do to balance the scale and equal out the genders.
The reason you think women want power over men is because you think we're already here, so the upward force is pushing imbalance.
Women already have power over men. Just look at who gets primary custody of the kids, primary settlements in divorce, and also who attends college and still have billions of dollars put to them to go to college. I mean, come on, man. Are you absolutely kidding me? And also look at who gets falsely accused of rape. If you find me a man who accused a woman falsely of rape and she actually went to jail more than 6 months, I'll eat a whole roll of toilet tissue in front of you and I'll film it.
The same could be said for Black Lives Matter. You think we're here, where all lives matter, which would be great, but we're not. So the balancing force is Black Lives Matter.
Where the hell does non-black and white lives fall on this scale? I guess they don't matter. I guess they have a little chart that's in the red that's going down when it comes to other people of other races, and especially mixed people. I guess their lives count half on the chart. Like there's like a half blue level that falls between the black and white, and he's just making it up. Like, damn, this chart wasn't the best idea he ever had.
If you want to convince people of your ideas, or bring them over to your side, or even sell them something, you need good branding. And I would argue that social justice does that once you look below the surface.
You'll have plenty of time to look below the surface once the social justice warriors hold your blonde-haired, blue-eyed baby under the water.
The first thing to understand is that feminism is not a single monolith. There are several groups within feminism who don't always agree with each other and want different things. There's no way I could ever sell you on the one and only true feminism. If you agree with the liberal feminists that gender is a social construct, you'll be going against the radical feminists who say it isn't.
So let me get this straight. The radical feminists are not the people who said whiteness and white people need to die out. It's the people who's trying to stop pedos from dressing up as ladies so they can get free and easy access to kids when they're undressing in the bathroom. All right, I got you.
Just like any political movement, there are internal disagreements. So if I were to ask you to define feminism, I'm gonna get a wide range of answers, just like I would with Socialism. So the definition we're going to use for this video is the push for gender equality. That seems to cover most everyone's definitions. Some people add a but it has been obsolete since or has morphed into. Some people add a by changing laws or changing cultural views. That's fine, but everyone has the same root definition, the push for gender equality. So how are they going about that? The first wave of feminism started in the mid-1800s and focused on voting rights and the suffragette movement.
Susan B. Anthony was asked by Frederick Douglass to petition for black people's voting rights, and she was quoted that she'd rather cut off her hand than petition to allow black people to vote.
It was also linked to the abolitionist and temperance movements, but again, not everybody agreed. Over time, several individual states gave women the right to vote, but the movement faded with the passage of the 19th Amendment, which gave women the right to vote federally. And I suppose that's where a lot of people think feminism should have ended. But the second wave, which started in the 1960s, accomplished a lot of things that we would consider necessary today. This was the women's liberation movement, which pushed for legal equality. It was in conjunction with the civil rights and anti-war protests at the time, though like the first wave, they didn't always overlap. Women had been trying to break out of the traditional housewife role since World War II. With all of the men off fighting, women took jobs in the workforce and actually kind of liked it, and for some reason wanted to keep doing it. But they soon realized that they weren't being paid the same as men for the same work, and passed the Equal Pay Act of 1963, which—
If women like working so much, how come there was a gap between female employment between 1946 and through the mid-60s? And also, what do you mean they were getting paid on equal wage? Women usually did, when they actually worked, many careers that were dominated by women, such as teaching, nursing, and being librarians. So they had unequal pay with each other?
Which was supposed to end the gender pay gap, but didn't. The act made it illegal to pay people differently for equal work requiring equal skill and responsibility based on sex. But it did allow for different pay based on seniority, merit, quantity or quality of production, or any differential based on any other factor other than sex. Much like how you're not allowed to discriminate based on race, you are allowed to discriminate based on, well, I just didn't like the way they carried themselves.
So he readily admits that the gender gap in the wage pay is based on talent. And what's with this smug, I didn't like the way they carried themselves? I mean, if you're working in a service like maybe like customer service, you're supposed to carry yourself in a professional way. Smile at the customers, good eye contact, a little bit of conversation. Or hell, what if you're working in an office? You're supposed to look professional, neat, and tidy. Is he trying to go against talent and actually having a good and qualified standard at the workplace? Come on, man.
Having loopholes perpetuates the problem.
Yes, having standards of excellence and perfection at the workplace is a loophole. What? You can't lift over 40 pounds because you have no muscle mass? Yup, sound like a loophole to me, but I'm just gonna stop it here. I might do a part 2 to this if this video is that popular. Please like, subscribe, and share this video. And I am out, guys.